corruption aside, infrastructure, facilities on ground, you talked about the fact that National Stadium isn't exactly in tip-top shape.
I mean,
what can be done? As an immediate measure, how we
no, some of the things some of the corporate sponsors, corporate Nigeria can do, if they have. But again, like I said, the government must now partner with them and say, if you are able to do X, we will give you this tax relief. These are things that have been done in the advanced countries.
No other body can put this together apart from.
It's only corporate Nigeria because they are the ones that have the money. Even outside there, I mean, it is the corporate, it is the private, the private partnership that is helping. You must be able to go out there and say, okay, if so X bank is able to build maybe 2 or 3 boxing gymnasiums,
or swimming pools,
or swimming pools of world-class standards, then these are things you can under corporate social responsibility. It could be done. But let me tell you, some of them want to do it. I'm only trying to lay, to be as open as possible. Some of these companies, some of them want to do it. But the bureaucracies, what they meet on the way, is too much or too high for them to surmount or for them to cross. Because by the time the bureaucracies are on the way, you want to spend your own money. Some people are saying, no, until you bring X, percentage, then you can't do what you want to do. What do? You throw in the towel and you stay on your own. You stay aloof. And then it rubs off on our, like I said, it's holistic. It rubs on our fortunes. So what I'm saying is that we must be able to look at the sports industry and say, one, get the bureaucracies out of the way. And the only way you can get bureaucracy out of the way is to get sports in the hands of the private people. Or more importantly, let government begin to give tax reliefs, tax cuts, to companies that are ready to spend quality funds. And use the word quality, not just spending money for the sake of spending money. I remember there was an oil company in this country, and I would say Mobil particularly. They were spending in Qatar, they were spending about 20 billion naira to host a small meet. But in Nigeria, they will give 2 million to host a meet. So it begins with that. It must be commensurate. These guys are milking us. They are getting money from this country, and they must give back in equal measure.
What about developing? Let's talk about developing new talent. I know sometimes we have an issue with feeling some spots available and at the games. Some of the spots we have never, competed in. What about developing, expanding that horizon?
But we thank God,
that at least we can have potential for more medals.
A young Nigerian born of British or whatever parent. No. The father is a Nigerian. The mother is, I think, a British. Came to compete for us in the Kano. Which were never done before, which is a good development. But again, this young man has come to identify with the country. What has he got him back in return? Now, he may want to compete in the next 4 years. Are we ready to fund his training? Are we ready to support him? See, if somebody comes willingly to say, I want to do something for my fatherland, and the person does not get the kind of, morale boosting, offers that should be on the table, then you discover that it goes back, the man will come, see the situation on the ground, and go back. So that's why I said it has to be holistic. We can't do it halfway. There are no half measures. Because the situation is terrible, it's bad.
I was going to ask you just now, okay, because, we can also talk about the issue of going down to the grassroots and talking about developing new talents, not just for sports we haven't competed in, but, for the ones that we supposedly have an advantage, in, talking about the athletics, 100 meters, 200 meters. Can we develop more local talent instead of, because sometimes we have like the basketball, what we saw with the basketball team, many of them probably have not even been to Nigeria before, but can we is there a way we can bring in new talent?
But again, the issue, you see,
so it just always brings us back to the issue of funding.
Funding and facilities. You see, sports is, like I said, there are no half measures. I'll give an example. In Russia, some years ago, under Boris Yeltsin, the man said, I want to turn out the best. He's a fan, he's a fanatic of the game of lawn tennis. And he says, I want to turn this place into a mecca of some of the best tennis players in the world. It was a deliberate policy on the part of the government, and they went all out and built some of the best tennis facilities you could ever ask for around the world. And today, are you going to say 1 to 10 tennis players in the world without mentioning 1 or 2 or 3 Russians? It begins with that. Argentina, Brazil, these are countries that have taken sports as part of their national life. And so the investment in sports is commensurate. They are able to say, because we want to be here in sports, the investments are right. In Nigeria today, where are the investments?
So what?
We don't even have the quality sports academies. You don't have the facilities. You don't have the infrastructures. You don't have the environment.
So it's funding what? And at the end of the day, commitment on the
part of the
government.
Absolutely. It begins with that.
How does one fix that?
That's why I'm saying that number one. See,
apart from the funding, apart from money issues, the commitment to do it, because it's a human thing. How does one fix that? The
commitment will be developed or will grow if the support, the enabling environment is there. You may want to do something. You may wish to do it. But when the enabling environment is not there, when the things that should support you are not there, then what do? You retire into your shell. That's the problem. Many people want to play sports. In fact, one of the things sport does is it helps national development, because you take many of the criminals off the streets. If there are enough boxing gyms around the corner, what are you doing? You are taking many of the so-called guys that will have been criminals. They'll be spending more time training. So these are the things you need to look at. Even Paralympics today, for every Paralympics, for the Paralympics, you're going to find, US spending about $12 million to put the Paralympians together. They are investing. That is money. Put $12 million today for Paralympics in Nigeria and see how much of those guys who possibly are at the national stadium doing nothing, they'll be doing something. So where I'm going, local government must be involved. It's like, London has hosted the Olympic Games. London was able to bring about 30 to 40% of the money overall cost that was spent, because they know it will rub off on them also. So they brought out the money and they supported the central government to ensure that they hosted a smooth game. So today, London benefits in the infrastructures, London benefits in the transport system, London benefits in the long-term investment on kids. So these are the things you need to look at. We must go scientific, we must be analytical, we must be, we must observe the way things are done out there and how it can help us.
Now, Dakwa, there was a lot of attention this time. I'm not sure how much of it we had in after our performance at the Beijing Olympics. At least we got about 4 medals or so back then. So because right now it looks like there's so much attention on the performance this time. A lot of people followed, kept to watch over the performance of our athletes there. Do you think that perhaps this time, with this much attention that has been given, so much spotlight that has been put on our performance this time, that perhaps where I'm going is at the next Olympics in Brazil, do you think that perhaps policymakers or the authorities, sportsmen, to federal government or whoever is in charge, will look at it and say, okay, fine, enough is enough. Let's do something.
I hope so.
And then let's have a better performance
in
Brazil.
So. That is our dream. That is why we are shouting. That is the expectation. That's why we are saying no. We cannot stop to talk until we see things, turn around, especially in the world of sports, because there are enormous opportunities. But like I said, until the Economic Financial Crimes Commission sees what is going on in the sports industry as an economic and financial crime and investigates the people that are siphoning even all these monies, then it may be difficult, very difficult for us to move forward. You just mentioned, and that has been brought on the last note, you just mentioned now that some of our athletes who did well in Beijing, they are not doing well today because the other people are not sitting down. The rest of the world are not sitting down. You got the bronze this time around, or you got the silver, you want to improve, but they are going for the gold. So they are spending money to train themselves, to put themselves in shape, while you are relaxing, resting on your walls, waiting for your natural talents to see you.